Hey, Brandon here. Welcome to the channel and thanks for tuning in. Have another 2025 rookie profile show here for you today. And I want to be joined again with my podcast co-host, Jason DiRienzo. And we are going to give you everything you need to know about Mr. Evan Stewart, wide receiver from Texas A&M, headed to the Oregon Ducks this year. We're going to go over his player production profile. We're going to go over his scouting report, give you some tape grades, give you some draft capital update here. It's early. It's going to be a top pick in the NFL draft next year in the wide receiver class, without a doubt. Kid's got some ability for sure. So you play Dynasty, you play Fantasy, C2C, Devy, any kind of fantasy format, and you're looking for a YouTube channel out there that's going to give you an early look at future classes, hit that subscribe button. So the show is all about. We've watched the All 22 film. We're ready to give it to you. Let's get to the show. All right, Jason, we're going to talk Evan Stewart. All right, 2025 rookie profile. Let's get started. 6 foot, 175 yards. We all know that for the last 2 seasons, he has been at Texas A&M. You can see if you're watching on YouTube, the card here. Has been relatively productive. I think a lot of people are kind of down on Evan Stewart right now because of the lack of production for all the numbers guys out there. I mean, he had 643 yards as a freshman. He really popped with 2 TDs last year, 514 yards with 4 TDs. His PFF receiving grades aren't really anything to speak home about. His yak per reception, 2.3, which is kind of down a little bit. His A.dot 14. Contested catch situation, 33%. But I think you and I still like the guy. I'm kind of putting out all these stats out here that, if you look at the stats at all, I mean, it's like you think to yourself, what are we getting excited about here? I think it was a lot of the situation that he was in. His quarterback
100%.
play was, very, especially when Max Johnson got in there for that one game, we watched, but, played out wide too. He's 6 foot, 175 pounds, playing, on the boundary 75% of the time in 2023. So what did we do? We watched the All 22 film. Again, we watched his Miami game and we watched his Alabama game. You and I did a detailed film breakdown, play-by-play on both of those games. So again, guys, if you're listening to this or watching on YouTube and you want access to that, hit me up on the email or on X. So tell me what you and I came away really impressed, even though whatever these stats mean. I think you and I both came away that very much interested in his route running ability and his overall profile. So why don't you give us the skinny on his scouting report?
I mean, just immediately you see the initial quickness off the line. I mean, he does not waste any movement. He doesn't waste any time. As a matter of fact, you could just see that he has a plan of how he's going to beat that initial defender, whether it's man press coverage or even, with a soft cushion in zone. Eats into the cushion quickly with that acceleration. Uses a very good single move and double move to at the release to gain separation, and then you see the speed, the acceleration within his vertical route stem. He can easily stack defenders if he gets a clean release on them. And even if not, he's a bit of a hand fighter, but I think the size might limit him at the next level. But in college, from what I saw, I was pretty impressed by his tenacious ability within his route running, separates fluidly at the top of his route. And I like the catching ability. I mean, there were some issues that we'll talk about when we get to some of the skill set, but I thought overall, even though it was a bit inconsistent, the hands, there was a shoestring grab that he had. He had to really turn and navigate himself to pretty erratic throws. And I think the numbers that you were talking about from Pro Football Focus are so underwhelming. Dude, from the film that we saw, like even on just drag routes, he had to turn all the way behind him to catch a ball because Max Johnson wasn't throwing with the anticipation and leading him open. So even on difficult catching, he was getting the ball, making difficult hand grabs, but also as he's doing that, he's able to turn and get upfield and gain yards after the catch. So I like the body control. I just think he's a highly intelligent route runner from what I saw with the athleticism to go with it. You get him in a good system like he's going to be in Oregon with a competent quarterback that knows how to get him the ball with good anticipatory reads and basically throws him open. We're going to see a very special Evan Stewart that we've been waiting to see, and I'm here for it. I really like this kid a lot.
Yeah, I do too. I came away really impressed with his route running. You can see on the scouting card if you're watching on YouTube, he's a good accelerator. His spatial awareness, finding gaps in the zones and taking
Yeah,
advantage and
so
defensive
good.
manipulation, I thought was really good. He's a snappy route runner. I think he went in and out of his breaks pretty well. He's a three-level threat. I think he can win all over the field. He can win vertically and intermediate and, snap out of a route, at the line of scrimmage for a wide receiver screen. I mean, the knocks on him are going to probably be his inconsistent hands. I mean, we did see, like you
Mhm.
said, he did have a nice shoestring catch, but we did also see if the ball was off target a little bit, he did struggle because he did the Wegman threw some lasers to him in that Miami game, and he just seemed to maybe not be able to corral that. I don't know how big his hands are and strong his hands are, but when he had to really extend for the ball at times, he didn't really come down with it. And I think people are going to question his frame at 175 pounds and 6 feet, whether that should be correct or not. I think the lack of like physicality. He's tough. He runs with the ball. He's not scared of contact, and that's something I look at wide receivers. But just that size
Yeah.
and frame, and if he's going to be able to hold up. But I think he's going to have a great opportunity in Oregon this year. The ball placement was so bad, and we watched those films together. He was making
It's
adjustments pretty
frustrating.
much. It was, and you could tell when in that Miami game, especially, he was really, really frustrated. No, I'm
Mhm.
sorry, it was the
Yeah,
Alabama game when Max
Alabama game.
Johnson was
Yep.
in there. He was just coming up, just like get me the ball where it's supposed to be, and you could see his frustration. So let's get to our tape grades. We just gave you an overview of a scouting report. Now we're going to have some fun with some tape grades, release and route running. I gave him a 4.5. I think the guy could be one of the best route runners in this class.
Yeah, I gave him a 4, and I'm all about the 4.5. I don't disagree with that whatsoever. It was pretty impressive what he could do.
Yeah, ball skills and hands, I gave him a 3.5. He came down with the majority of those passes, but again, uh, can't give him a 4 or even close to a 5. But he's not going to probably win those 50-50 balls, but I think his game is going to be getting the ball to him in space, and he's going to use his route running prowess, I think, to really create space for himself at Oregon and at the next level. I gave him a 3.5 for ball skills and hands.
Yeah, I understand the 3.5 based on what we saw. I give him a 4. It was just weird. I mean, I saw him make some pretty impressive catches and then just drop one that was right in his face because he didn't frame his hands properly. So I'm hoping it gets corrected. With that 4, that's part of the projection as well. But I just wish it was more consistent.
hmm So acceleration and speed, I gave him a 4. Love his acceleration off the line of scrimmage. I think you mentioned that
Mm.
before, and I think he has the ability to win vertical and deep and can be a burner if need be. So I gave him a 4.
I gave him a 4 as well. I'm not sure if it's elite, but it's definitely well above average.
Exactly. Yards after the catch, I gave him a 3. I saw that you gave him pretty much the same number. I think that was one of the things that we saw when he
Did.
did get the ball in his hands. He's really great at creating space, prior to catching the ball, but after catching the ball, he didn't seem to. He ran to open space, but he's not going to be one of these players, I think, that is elusive and making guys miss and fighting for every yard. I don't know if that's going to be a big part of his game unless we see something different at Oregon. I gave him a 3, and you gave him a 3 as well, it looks like.
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly.
Physicality and athleticism, I gave him 4. I think he's very athletic. I think he's physical enough to be a NFL wide receiver.
Yep, agree with that. I actually think he plays a little bit stronger than his listed size, so that made me feel good too.
Mhm. So let's talk about his draft capital. You can see the image on the screen here. This is from mockdraftdatabase.com, number 27th overall. So he's clearly a first round pick.
Mhm.
I still believe I'd love to see him have 1,000 yards at Oregon, put up 8, 9, 10 touchdowns, really be an explosive player. He'll be a day one, round one lock next year.
Yeah, I got him. I see him as a day one too. I mean, that is a pretty stacked receiver room. I mean, even tight ends. I think Terrence Ferguson is still there. So the target share is gonna kind of limit, I think, the upside of what he could do. But he should easily be between 8 to 1,000 yards. I would fully expect that.
Yeah, so in 2023, he had 38 receptions. He had 53 when in 2022. So I would expect him to at least
Yeah,
get 50
at least.
targets. So my player comp is Deontay Johnson. I really felt Deontay Johnson was a great route runner in the short and intermediate parts of the field. Could win vertically, but that's not really his big game. And I kind of feel the same way about Evan Stewart. I think he has that ability to do that, but watching them, they're similar in size, similar in the way they run routes to me. So Deontay Johnson, and I think he could have a career similar to Deontay Johnson as well.
I really like that comp. I mean, you could actually see it when you watch Evan Stewart. You could see Deontay Johnson, so that's a great comp. I put Calvin Ridley. I saw a lot of what Calvin Ridley does at the release at the line of scrimmage with that acceleration, maximizing the single and double move with also a speed release that I saw Evan Stewart exploit as well. And then even in the vertical stem, they kind of break at the top of the routes very similarly, and I like the field vision and the navigation that they deliver. So I saw some Calvin Ridley in Evan Stewart's game.
All right. Is he a buy, sell, or hold for you? Do you have any? No, first off, do you have any shares?
Yeah. I have 2 shares.
You
I
have two
do.
shares. Okay.
Yep.
I don't have
Got
any shares.
okay.
I,
I got
I,
those when he was coming out of high school, so I was pretty high on him already. As a matter of fact, I think when I was looking back, because I want to see how high I was, I had him as my wide receiver 1 coming
oh
out of
yeah.
high school.
Oh, I
So
think so.
yeah,
Absolutely. I think a lot of people did.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So obviously pretty high on him, which is probably why I ended up with some shares of him. But to me, he's a buy. I mean,
Hmm.
I think the value right now is not nearly to what he should be labeled as with what he can deliver. He can perform as a first round wide receiver, and he is not being valued that way. So I'm going to take advantage of that. If people are down on him because of a down year, that's the perfect time to go out and buy him. So I'm buying all day long.
Yeah, I think I'd buy him too. If it was really weak in wide receivers in my Devy rosters or in a team, a dynasty slash Devy roster, I would take a swing at trying to get Evan Stewart. I think his route running was and his snappiness. That's what,
Yeah.
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 To me, it's all about space creation as a wide
He's a separator.
receiver, and he's a separator. So I go after separators. So I agree with you. He would be a buy for me. And who knows? Maybe I'll just go out and get myself a share this summer. Who knows? So, all right, there you guys got it. There is Evan Stewart's profile as we head into the college football season.